Hey there, folks. Welcome to Button Mash, WCRD's premier video game show. I'm your host, as always, Lucas Schmidt, and with me is...
And I am a very cold Joe New.
We're all cold. Very cold.
God,
it's actually
fall
so
just
cold.
died and... God.
Well, I actually left school for fall break and came back. I left out of state, and I came back, and it just, snowed. Yeah, I went to Washington.
Okay.
It was pretty cool. It's pretty fun. My grandparents took me, and it's like a little tradition they have to take your grandkids anywhere in the United States when they turn 21. Don't ask me what it is, but it's pretty cool.
All I did was
really
stay
nice
home and got drunk on my 21st birthday weekend.
Well, that's what you're expected to do. Congratulations, you're doing it right.
You know, I feel like normally I'm a pretty nice, articulate person, but when it gets cold, it does something to me. You know that how the cold just sort of jacks up your ability to function as a normal human being.
If you mean get to the next building faster because you're freezing your butt off, then
well,
yes.
Sort of. Okay, so I'm biking here
Okay.
an hour or so ago, and I see my old boss from Barnes & Noble walking by, and I love to annoy the guy and just be his, chummy buddy, but I was going to, bike past him and say, "Looking fabulous as always, sir," and it came out, "Fabulous as always, sir."
You're like the kid from A Christmas Story when he gets his tongue stuck to the pole. I double dog dare you. Actually, it's so cold. We have to turn our heat on to, you gotta turn your heat on to keep the pipes from bursting from possibly freezing and whatnot. But we have it as low as we possibly can. We have it at 60, and we came to the funny realization that 60, it's basically the equivalent of blasting your air conditioning at full during the summer. And that's what we're doing right now. And it's still warmer than outside. That's so bad. It's just a funny perspective to look at it, All right, well, this is a video game show, so let's get to some video game stuff.
All right.
Go ahead and start us off, Joe.
All right, well, the biggest story as far as news we've got this week might be the Ellen Page in Beyond Two Souls. Been a bit of a brouhaha, and Lucas doesn't know anything about this, so I get to tell him all about it. So, Lucas...
Actually, I do know a little bit. I saw the headline of the article. I saw a short tweet.
Okay,
basically.
So you know Beyond Two Souls. Have you played it at all?
Played the demo.
It's
kind of liked it.
It's the new Quantic Dream game. They're the guys behind Heavy Rain, Fahrenheit or / Indigo Prophecy, depending on where you got it from. And they're known for these big movie-like games with lots of cutscenes and lots of interactive QuickTime events. The new game stars Ellen Page and Willem Dafoe as the two main characters. Ellen Page is this weird teenage girl who has a ghost constantly following her around, and
basically Carrie. Is that the name of the girl? The movie coming
Carrie.
Out. That's the remake. Okay.
With Chloe Moretz as the ugliest girl in America. Yeah, okay. Or as the most troubled girl? No.
Wasn't she? She was one superhero
Hit Girl
in Kick-Ass. Yeah.
Yes. So what happened is basically there's a scene in the game where Ellen Page's character is in the shower, and they do the typical thing where they obscure most of her with steam or whatever, and I believe
no full nudity, just kind of
I believe there's also a softcore sex scene, but obviously it's an M-rated game. It's not really presenting the sex in any graphic way.
Yeah.
Anyhow,
so Mass Effect, I guess.
Yeah. Typical stuff. So anyway, it was discovered that in the code for that scene, someone or some programmer at least was instructed to render Ellen Page's entire body. So what they do for this game is, they map out the actor's entire body, so when they're mocapping them in a studio, they know exactly what their proportions are, where they are, how they're moving.
Okay, basically, are we talking this is naked, or is this Barbie doll naked?
Underneath the fog and everything, her body is completely modeled with nipples and sexual not organs, but
Yes. We all know.
FCC, everybody.
How do I word this without actually wording this how they taught me in health class? Oh man.
Okay.
Yes, we all get what you mean. Continue.
So obviously, any great sexual controversy, hackers broke into the code, and now the pictures everywhere.
Yeah.
And to the best of our knowledge, this is what Ellen Page looks like nude, and it's.
So what have the developers said?
The developer hasn't really come out. Sony, however, has been on the warpath trying to get everything down. And I'm sorry to say,
They're
Sony,
just going on a censorship
it's
spree.
the internet. It will never stop existing.
I mean, it'll stop existing in the popular places, but there's always nooks and crannies to hide stuff.
Yeah, Paige herself hasn't commented publicly on the matter, but Sony's sort of rash action has really given the implication that like they just don't want this controversy to haunt the game. And it's weird because I don't know, David Cage, the lead developer behind the game, sort of has this weird like history of sort of pointless sexuality in his games. He's always had
kind of
this,
adding it just to have it there. Like there's no, because I know like their characters, or they're not characters, their games are very character heavy. Like I like kind of realized that, I guess, for the first time. Like I had read in reviews what Heavy Rain was like, and so I had a rough idea of what it was like. But the Beyond Two Souls demo, it's very just like linear and, like you said, a lot of button prompts. But it's very
probably about
heavy.
the same, yeah. And even in Heavy Rain, there's a sort of pointless sex scene where like two of the characters like they meet up and they sort of fall for each other. They have sex, and I can't remember if it's interactive, but I don't think it is. And after that, like it just served no purpose. Story-wise, like the sex scenes served no purpose. And that seems to be like what's happening again with this Ellen Page debacle. Is
I feel like it's the same in movies a lot of times too. I feel like every movie's got to have like a romance.
Yeah,
which
yeah.
follows with the sex scene at some point and then continue on with movie.
And it's just, why did they have to model Ellen Page's? What purpose did that serve if the original intent was to just obscure it with fog, allowing an M-rated... Well, actually, there are breasts in video games. As long as you're not flashy about it, I suppose, you can get away with an M rating. I don't know how that ESRB...
The PlayStation 3 Ninja Gaiden version, you could like move the analog sticks and like move her. It was over the top. I never actually saw it,
or the
but
dead.
It was a like a selling point.
Or the Dead or Alive beach volleyball jiggle physics.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that too.
So yeah,
I was young though. That was definitely something Mom would not buy me.
No,
I couldn't even get Grand Theft Auto. Are you kidding me?
So I guess to finalize the story up, Sony PR rep has clarified, quote, it's not actually her body on display, which kind of just even makes it worse because someone went in there and said, I want to put nipples and stuff on Ellen Page for no artistic purpose.
No, maybe they like thought they might need them at some point, because I feel like they make more content than they actually put in the game. I'm sure there's like entire scenes and stuff.
Like, well, yeah, they can cut stuff, but but
neither of us are developers. What can we say?
Yeah.
Whatever.
All right.
Let's move on to something else.
So do you have anything?
I really don't have anything. I was on vacation like the whole time. And
Fair
I
enough.
didn't even have my laptop.
All right.
I apologize.
Let's go on
Although one thing I did see today is that Slender Man is basically coming out for PC. Like an actual
Slender Man, the
game.
Arrival,
An actual game, not like the web browser kind of thing. It's called Slender Man. Yeah, Slender Man, the Arrival.
Well, that
it's
already
coming
came
out on
out
the
as
28th.
a PC game, I think. Because it was like an HD remake and sort of a renovation where, you play as some like real estate agent who like her sister or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it was already a game. It's already been out, but I'm just saying that now it's coming to Steam. And the other big news is consoles in 2014.
Oh, okay.
So there's no Mac version, but there's a PC version.
Do we know how much they're selling
and
it
supports
for?
the Oculus Rift.
Oculus Rift?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay.
So that could be potentially really scary. Really, really scary.
To go off on a slight tangent here, I was watching an Oculus Rift demo of a game called Dread.
Which, for those of you who don't know, real quick, let me interrupt, because there are plenty of people who probably don't know.
Go for it.
The Oculus Rift is basically what it's Google's,
virtual reality goggles.
Yeah, virtual reality.
Google Glass, but like
Google Glasses,
3D, and you lose sight of everything, and you are 3D in this world.
Yeah.
So
you don't just look away from your TV because you don't just look away.
Yeah. You can't look away.
It's the Star Trek band. I don't remember the character.
Ooh. So anyway, there's this game called Dreadhall, and I need to tell people about this because if any of you are Doctor Who fans, you might know about the Weeping Angels, the creatures that like only move when you don't look at them. In this game, Dreadhall, there is an enemy just like that, and it is the scariest thing I have ever seen. Like, it's so simple, but it's so effective. They're gargoyles. They're just stone gargoyles, and like one will appear around a corner and be like, "Oh crap! You have to look at it with your Oculus Rift VR goggles, and as soon as you look away,
it attacks you.
It moves closer, and if you let it get too close, it will kill you. And it does one thing that like the Weeping Angels don't do is if you like see it, you look away real quick and it comes closer, like the next time you look straight at it, if you get up close to it, its head will move just like an inch towards you. So like it knows you're there, and just like, oh my god, that's terrible.
Sounds like any basic like scare tactic in like a movie.
Yeah.
Where they just the slowly turning head.
So on to the next news story. We have the Total Biscuit incident. For those of you who don't know, Total Biscuit is like the YouTube name of this guy who he reviews games. Basically, he does
professional reviewer.
Yeah, he does what we do, and he does what we want to do, and
he does what we do, but he does it for money.
Yes, he makes money off of his YouTube videos and his commentary. And he reviewed Day One Gary's Incident, a game by Wild Game Studios. And he gave the game a poor review. He said it wasn't good, and Wild Game Studios had YouTube pull the footage of his review off of YouTube, citing that it's our property. We don't want him.
And
using
was it
for
just his
financial gain.
review? No other reviews?
No, they pretty much singled him out. So. So
I'm guessing the other ones gave it good reviews then, and his was like the standout.
I'm not entirely
bad
sure.
One.
Day One,
because I remember this happening with Kane and Lynch, the original one, back when that came out in like 2007, I want to say, give or take a year or two.
Yeah.
But yeah, that came out, and there was, I believe it was the guy from GameStop, or not GameStop, GameSpot.
Yeah.
Just switch that P and a T, like your 3-year-old switching spaghetti to scabetti. You know, we all did stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, he gave it. He was told, actually, I believe, from what I'm trying to remember from recollection, because this was about 7 years ago, but he was told to give it a bad review or a good review, and he gave it a bad one.
Yeah.
Because they were given advertisement money for the game, and so they wanted to, obviously people see the advertisement on the website, they see that's good, they'll be more likely to buy the game. But he decided to give it a bad review because he believed it was a bad game, and he got fired.
So, so Wild Game Studio actually withdrew his complaint after like the bad press, but Total Biscuit tweeted, quote, "Long story short, dev sends code," which means that they sent him the code to like download it on Steam and review it, because like an advanced review copy. Code used to make critique, dev dislikes critique, dev abuses system to censor critique. And for all intents and purposes, for those of you who don't know, as journalism students, we know this. There is what's called fair use, and that essentially means that if you want to take the footage from a movie, a game,
no stealing, basically.
No stealing, and no like making profit off of it and claiming that's your own. But if you're doing a critique or a parody, you can use footage from a property like that, and you can even make money off of it, as long as you adhere to certain parameters, which I'm sure.
You just don't claim that it's yours.
Yeah, it's yours, and
you acknowledge the fact that you didn't make this, but you're just talking about it.
That's how the review industry thrives. Is we Game Trailers or Game Informer all have video reviews, and without that fair use principle, that law, we would be essentially getting nothing but like these audio reviews, just blank audio reviews, which aren't bad, but in the whole,
it's not as good as looking at it.
No.
Picture says 1,000 words.
Yeah. So it doesn't look like it'll affect Total Biscuit too much as far as money is concerned. He's actually a fairly successful guy with it. In Day One Gary's Incident, which his review became the most watched review of that game, it's not going to knock him too hard financial wise. And
well, that's good to hear.
Yeah. So on to the next story, I suppose. So Lucas,
Titanfall got a release date.
Yeah, what is it?
Kind of a small thing. March 11th. It's just a big deal for me, kind of, because I am really looking forward to this. I don't know if you've
Is it
looked
PC
at it
too?
all. It's PC,
And
Xbox
Xbox
One,
One.
and Xbox 360.
Oh, okay.
Although I have a feeling Xbox 360 just isn't going to be able to
Probably
compare
not.
to the other versions.
That's why I'm waiting for. Excuse me. That's why
That's
I'm waiting for all the next gen, like Assassin's Creed 4. I've heard, as much as I am done with that series because AC3 burned me.
I couldn't even follow it after the second one.
But yeah, AC4, like they say that it looks tremendously better than the PS3 version, like at least noticeably.
That's
better.
interesting. Have you seen any screenshot, like side-by-side comparisons? Because I remember when they switched over to the current generation, Xbox 360 and PlayStation 2 on to number 3. It was not that big of a difference at all at first. You look at like sport games are pretty common to come out on both, or like shooters that come,
car games,
and
yeah.
whatnot.
I haven't seen side by side comparisons, but I've seen some PS3 footage of like they did mission run throughs occasionally, 1 or 2, and it didn't look broadly different than AC3. It might have looked a little better, but it's hard to tell sometimes. But I've heard good things from people I trust on the PlayStation 4 or Xbox One editions. So anyway, moving on to console news. Looks like, folks, the Wii may be shipping off its last batch of hardware.
Sounds last leg.
At least for small pockets in the U.S., Nintendo is halting manufacturing of the Wii. Not the Wii U, the Wii.
Wait, just in the U.S.?
Let's see.
The manufacturer or sale? Because there's a big difference. And if it's only stopping manufacturing in the U.S., then they could still manufacture it other places. Wherever else it would be manufactured.
Well, it's certainly going to be downturned a little bit, but the announcement, which was originally released on Kotaku, Nintendo clarified now that they're specifically talking about Japan. So Japanese manufacturing of Wiis is kaput. In the U.S., you'll still be able to find one easily enough, but they might be in significantly smaller numbers now. And I believe that this is probably a bigger push strategy for the Wii U, because Christmas season is coming up, and the Wii U has had a terrible year so far.
Wii U has just, oh man, that one fell way overboard.
Name 3 games that came out for Wii U. Zombie U.
I know Zombie U is the one that I was like, okay, that looks kind of cool, and then apparently it was pretty bad.
And what else?
There was a Tom Clancy one, a Ghost Recon. I believe. I think, possibly, maybe, kind of, sort of. I have a hunch. My gut is telling me I have a hunch. It's that like distant of a guess. But yeah, it didn't do well. But the original Wii, man, that thing sold like hotcakes.
100 million units.
Man. And what is the Wii U, like 20,000 or something? I want to say.
Is it in the thousands still? It hasn't cracked 1 million?
I doubt it.
Oh.
Man, that thing tanked.
I mean,
I worked at GameStop back in my hometown, like during the holidays or whatever, and there was only one guy at the store who actually bought one. And I don't want to say he regretted it, but I think he kind of did. He just doesn't play it a whole lot.
So, yeah, it's just sad that after 100 million units gone for the Wii, which almost became like a household name, you would go to almost anyone's home, and there's a Wii sitting there.
Yeah. It's actually surprising how many people have them and don't play them. I feel like that's actually fairly common.
Yeah,
sold really well. Because I think people like saw how it was marketed and were kind of more.
It's the casual versus the hardcore argument. Yeah,
they were expecting more from it.
It's all the experience you want from your games. Do you want the HD shooters for like Battlefield or Call of Duty? You're not going to get them on the Nintendo
I was talking
console,
more. I was talking more of motion controls and like their I guess capabilities. How fun they are to use. Yeah, I feel like people were expecting a little bit more. I don't know. Like my family, there's several other families I know. This is all just personal like speculation. There's I've no numbers that I know of behind this, but it just seemed to me that a lot of people kind of would get it as a present oftentimes, and then just kind of like didn't use it a whole lot. But hey. It's just America, I guess. Yeah, buying really nice stuff and then not using it.
It's half of the family fun time experience. You know, like the game doesn't always work 100%, so you get to laugh at Dad when he only shoots
when he can't get a strike every
down.
time.
Yeah, when he can't get a strike on Wii bowling, or he shoots it into the sand on Wii golf or whatever. So yeah, kind of sad. I want the Wii U to do well. I mean, I want Nintendo to stay in the race, but it's looking worse and worse as it goes along, and we'll see. With other regards to console news, smaller announcement, not too huge. The PlayStation 4 will allow real name user IDs at launch, which I think is interesting because I've been talking to people recently about like how just anonymity is such a terrible thing with regards to like, you know, getting yelled at by racist 12-year-olds on Battlefield.
Yeah, but then again, anonymity, man, I can't say that. I'm not even going to try and say that. I'm going to say the word that you said, Joe. The one that started with A.
Yes.
To be anonymous. All right. To be anonymous on the internet can be a good thing. I feel like you can voice your opinion without being afraid of.
But PlayStation isn't where you go to voice.
No. It's not where you go
unless
for
you're
the
a racist 12-year-old.
political debates that need to happen among
if you want to talk
can
a
be pretty
civilized
bad
debate, go write a blog and start writing like open letters to your congressman or something. The PlayStation Network, when I'm killing you in Call of Duty or Battlefield, or destroying you in The Crew. I'm starting to think of. I can't think of games now that
AI?
some of them are getting delayed. The Crew.
Oh, I thought you were talking about killing like people in the game. I was like, you kill the AI. I don't know. Never mind.
Yeah, but like that's not where. If I kill someone in Call of Duty, like I headshot them, I don't say, "Good sir, let's talk about geopolitical consumerism." No, I go.
I couldn't even tell you what that means.
Booyah,
Booyah. Yeah, you say booyah.
So
no, a lot of times it's a lot more vulgar stuff than that. It's pretty sad.
So it's a real name gamer tag system, sort of like the Xbox One announcement.
But you can still use like your own ambiguous whatever you want. You can be Pteranodactyl. You can be the Combat Wombat.
Let's see.
Two of the best names I've ever.
So
I've ever found.
PS4 lead architect Mark Cerny released a statement. With the PlayStation 4, we are transitioning to a friends network based on real-world friends. We'll keep around the alias and icon used in today's multiplayer matches. These are great to have when anonymity is important. So like you said, Lucas, it can be important if you prefer it that way. But most of the new social dimension of the PS4 will be interacting with friends using real names and profile pictures, most likely seeded from your existing social network. So
it's been a pretty like recent trend, I feel like, on sites to just not have to make an account. You just log in with like your Facebook, Twitter, and then your actual name comes up. I feel like a lot of comment threads on a lot of websites will just be like Facebook profile pictures and everything.
On news websites, I see more and more the implementation of the Facebook thing, which it still doesn't seem to stop the crazies and the idiots. But
People have no problem.
Yeah, it makes sense with the PlayStation and the Xbox's push for a more centralized social media network involving your games. So yeah.
All right. Cutting to a break?
Yep, we're cutting to a break. We'll play a little something for you, and we'll be right back.
And welcome back to Button Mash, everybody. All right, so let's start off with a new topic. Joe, what are you looking forward to this fall and early next year, more specifically?
Well,
seeing as that's kind of how far Sight goes in the future as far as release dates.
I was looking forward to Watch Dogs, and even after the delay, but then I started to think about it and sort
when
of.
When did they push it back to? Just spring?
No, they got a release date. It's like January, February, March, April. I think it's March or April. It's March or April. But anyway, even after, especially after the delay, I started thinking about, well, it's an Ubisoft game, and I was really disappointed with Assassin's Creed 3 and like what little. It seems like an expansive game when you're looking at promo content and trailers and.
Did you beat the whole thing?
AC3?
Yeah.
Yeah, I played all the way through it and most of the side missions because I'm a masochist like that.
Yeah, perfectionist. You got it.
But thinking about Watch Dogs, like Watch Dogs when they first debuted that trailer and like you're in the windy Chicago and all the people are like they look so detailed and everything. I thought that was really impressive. Yeah. And then as they started releasing more content and footage showing what you can do, I thought, yeah, that looks really, really interesting, and I think that would be fun. But for 20 hours, even for like something 12 hours, if it's a short story, that
they said that's how long it is.
I have no idea. They haven't said how long it is, to my knowledge. But even if it's as long as Assassin's Creed 3, I don't think I've seen enough to totally grab my interest. Like it's not Grand Theft Auto. It's not, go anywhere, do anything, fly a plane and play golf 5 minutes later. It's
Please don't tell me you've actually played golf in Grand Theft Auto.
I haven't.
Oh, thank goodness. Oh my goodness.
But
I've never touched any of those mini games. There's golf, there's
but
you can ride a bike, I think. You can get a bike at some point,
but anyway, like
so slow.
Looking at all that, like even in Grand Theft Auto, it might seem like overkill, but they did everything well enough to where even if you just did it one time, it wasn't super boring usually. And I look at the similarities between AC3 and what I'm seeing from Watch Dogs, and my anticipation of the game is sort of dwindling because it again looks like a huge expansive game with repetitious stuff to do. Like even the first Assassin's Creed was a very great big open world game, but there were 3 things you could do in that.
It was very, very repetitive and just you did the same, like you said, it's like the same, like you assassinate like 7, 8, 9 guys or whatever, but every time you assassinate them, you have to do the same exact steps leading up to his assassination. And it's just that same rinse and repeat
every
formula
single time.
And while it's cool, it's not diverse enough to be
granted,
fun.
They
improved that with sequels, so Watch Dogs could maybe just be that. Who knows?
Maybe. But that's sort of where I'm at as far as anticipation of that game. I am anticipating Killzone Shadowfall. Like Killzone gets a bad rep for being...
I didn't like Killzone. Then again, I didn't play very much of it. The only time I ever played any Killzone was Killzone 3. I played some multiplayer on my friend's PlayStation back when I didn't have one.
The multiplayer is something to scream about.
Maybe 4 years ago.
But the way they're sort of changing Shadowfall, it still has the dumb run and gun, shoot 'em up atmosphere, I think.
Yeah.
But it looks obviously it looks better graphically, but they seem to be focusing on not making it another corridor shooter, because Killzone 2, like which was an earlier PlayStation 3 game, was very much an incredibly linear shooter. Like you move past point X and suddenly 3 guys come out of 3 determined points, and there's like
very
no
linear. Real like awesome story or characters.
And I like the fact that the Shadowfall developers, Guerrilla Games, are they're creating these more open environments with at least a few more options to really get out there and play how you want to. It's still the same Killzone, you love or hate. You shoot the evil bad guys with the red eyes, but it looks like a more comprehensive experience to me. And dear God, the art design in this game is now even better than they ever had in 2 or 3, probably even 1. Obviously the game is set like a couple decades at least in the future, and it's sort of a infiltration kind of storyline. You're not in this like World War X scenario. You're just you are this one guy fighting against a lot of of these smaller insurgent enemies, and the architecture and the sort of close-up visceralness of all these environments. Like,
I remember the explosion and going off in that building in the trailer.
Yeah,
I think it was
in the
like
very
the first
first trailer. Yeah.
It looked beautiful.
Yeah, and
If you could call an explosion beautiful.
and that's something that we didn't get in 2 or 3 is these pretty atmospheres.
Right.
Granted, they're still war-torn, but they're much more engaging than anything I've seen before. And like the architecture of the buildings looks realized, you know? So, yeah. How about you, Lucas?
I am most looking forward to probably I'm gonna have to go with Titanfall, just because it looks so, I want to say, as innovative as possible for a shooter. Shooters seem to be very, very stale, especially with the popularity of Call of Duty and Battlefield and such. You see a lot of just copy and paste games, and it's hard to break away with that. But I feel like the interaction between mechs and soldiers going in and out of them, it seems so fresh and
that's something
such
that
a
appeals
blast
to me
because
too.
I feel like it's just as fun to be in a mech as it is to be on the ground. And I want to say it's kind of like Battlefield, where in the sense that you love switching between infantry and vehicle, but there's more of a balance this time between vehicle and infantry.
You know what really sticks out to me looking at the footage is how fun it not only is to win the game and to, you know, kill all your enemies, how fun it can be even to be on the losing side of the battle, because they've specifically talked about how even if you get shot out of your Titan and you get shot up in the air, the game's not over. You aren't just wham bam and dead. Because you got capped by another 12-year-old, you have various options. Yeah, you're going to get killed pretty quickly sometimes, but it's not going to be so annoyingly consistent if you're not like the best gamer out there.
Yeah, the maps do look bigger. They got a lot of verticality to them, which could be annoying.
Oh, yeah, with the jetpacks.
Yeah.
That's great.
Oh, yeah. Well, they're more jump packs per se, I guess, if you want to get technical.
It's super easy.
But yeah, but it's cool. It's got that double jump feature, which is like it's a classic video game platformer kind of feature. Is every time you hit the ground, you get your double jump regenerated back, and so every time you hit a surface, your double jump will return. You can just string up all these, what's it called, like parkour. Yeah. Parkour all over the place, and you're shooting a gun, and there are mechs, and there are explosions, and it's like cinematic multiplayer too. There's like giant spacecraft carriers like in the atmosphere, and they'll get shot down and just crash into like right offside the map and stuff. And all the while there's like conversations with random voice characters in the game just going on, and it makes for a more tied in experience, more like visceral, I guess. That's a very common word you hear from everybody when it comes to describing a video game, but yeah, it just adds that.
As much as it sucks to see Call of Duty sort of start to wind itself down with like Ghost doesn't look crazy innovative or anything like that, for those of you who don't know, this game Titanfall is coming from the former lead developers behind Call of Duty Modern Warfare, Vince Zampella and Jason West. They were like let go from Activision, Infinity Ward specifically. I think
they left. Actually,
they were like,
were they left
fired /
It was
left.
One of the two. There was a lot of heat between Activision and them,
and not only those two. Yeah,
it was the success of Call of Duty 4, because that was the first Call of Duty that really just broke it into the mainstream.
Yeah,
and like. It was the most significant leap for the series into being the 10-ton gorilla that it is today.
And they took a lot of Infinity War employees with them to form Respawn.
Yeah, they did. The studio is like 70 people big, which is, I mean, depending on where you look. I mean, like games like Assassin's Creed have like hundreds. They have over 1,000 people actually. I want to say.
Yeah.
They have people. They have multiple first game, and they have multiple studios around the globe, and then. Yeah. Respawn is just one studio.
Yeah, and this being their first game, it's encouraging to see that even though it's still grounded in the roots of a first-person shooter, it is wildly different and seems like a fun environment to be in.
I just want to run around with a Titan following me, because you can do that. You don't have to pilot it if you want. You can just have it follow you around, and like nobody jump in, just the AI, just the game controls it. It's like your pet dog, but your dog is enormous and it has a gun and it shoots all your enemies. Oh, and they have actually there's one for the Titans. There's one weapon that's like an arc cannon or whatever, and it just kind of, you charge it up, and then it shoots a lightning bolt, and it strings it up too. So if there's like 3 guys within a couple feet of each other, they all just turn into a big old mess, like from District 9. Those guns, yeah, it just zaps you.
District 9. So speaking of like all that scary imagery of giant robots crashing down on us,
while also being a metaphor for your dog, yes,
Clifford the Big Red, but
Clifford the Big Red Mess. I mean,
let's talk about scary art. Look, we're still in the Halloween season. This will be the last show before we go into scary stuff. We have about 5 minutes before we got to do our review. Dun dun dun.
Is that our review music? Is that official? Is
no,
that
I was just gonna play what we have on the CD player. I have it queued up right there.
Okay.
But what's your favorite? What's your one favorite scary character in a video game? It doesn't even have to necessarily be a survival horror game, but like the character that is
the first
scary.
one that comes to mind is probably the Brutes from Dead Space. Just because they were just these enormous hulking monster. They're like gorillas. They have enormous arms and they got these itty bitty legs, but they just like barrel towards you, and they're just scary as crap because they're just so hard to take down. Which is one thing that was really disappointing to me in Dead Space 3 was that they didn't have any at all. They had what seemed like kind of replacements. They had those I don't know what they're called, but they were a bigger enemy that was kind of tough but like slow and would have like a charging move.
Yeah.
Charging attack.
I guess I would have to say my favorite scary character. I've spoken about this before, but it bears repeating because it's so...
Yeah, I know. I've talked about Dead Space a million times, but I can't help it.
When I was much younger, in fact, my first console I think I ever really owned was the N64. And I know that dates me. I'm a baby. I'm not someone.
It's the same with me.
I owned an N64. Child. I played the crap.
I played Atari though with my grandparents all the time.
I played the heck out of Donkey Kong 64 when it came out, to the point where like my mom would be cutting my hair while I would still be playing it on the kitchen TV, and because I couldn't stop. And I eventually got to the point where there's a level like maybe 3/4 of the way through. I can't remember exactly what's going on.
These are the tomatoes, aren't they?
You had to ruin
Oh
it.
my gosh.
Yes,
they're so scary, folks. That
like
he's already told me about them before we've even gotten to the topic. This just
you're
came
in this
up
like
regular
grassy
area.
area.
I'm afraid of the tomatoes from Donkey Kong.
Yeah, and
it's actually how we met. Hi, I'm Joe. I'm afraid of the tomatoes from Donkey Kong.
That's not how we met. Don't lie.
I have a funny way of introducing myself. I'm like, hi, I'm Lucas. I got karate lessons from the Red Power Ranger when I was 6 years old. That's a true story. He gave them to me for like a week. He just like came to town, and my mom like signed me up, and I was like, what? And it was kind of the greatest week of my life. Don't remember it much because I was only 6, but
did you at least transform into like a 60-foot tall monster?
No.
And
I'm sorry to say that
buildings?
I was not like the kid on YouTube who thinks he can go Super Saiyan. That was not me. trying to call in a Mighty Morphin Ranger. Wow. And again, that's completely different from going Super Saiyan.
Anyway, as I was saying, there were scary
Did
tomato
I get off
creatures
on a tangent
there? There were these scary tomato creatures in Donkey Kong 64, and they weren't like cuddly scary. They were actually pretty dang scary. I'm gonna Google an image of them real quick here.
Yes, so we can show them on.
No, I just need to.
I
just need to like remind myself and probably give myself a nightmare.
Didn't they like bounce? Everything on the N64 bounced. I feel like that was just the easiest way to make characters in N64 games. For some reason, they couldn't have them walk and running. It was just, I guess, too difficult to program, so they all bounced.
Look at that. That is terrifying.
They got giant fangs.
And the giant, and
that's like really it. They just have like big blue eyes, and they're not that scary. But as soon as you add in those giant vampire fangs, those things are treacherous.
And they would bounce at you and come at you, and they wouldn't stop. And I'm running around the entire area like, I don't want to play this game anymore.
And then they flash red when you hit them.
What?
They flash red when you hit them. That's a classic.
Do they? I can't remember.
Feature for game. Probably. I'm just saying it.
Yeah.
Like it goes in hand with the whole bouncing thing. All enemies bounce and they all flash red when you hit them.
It's just terrifying to think that, like, to this day, I still haven't completed that game because I always stopped when I got to the tomato part because they were just terrifying.
Is that bad? Man.
Yeah. All right. So, Lucas, tell them what we're going to do now while I queue up.
What are we going to do? Oh, what are you going to review? What game?
It's time for a review, and here's review music to signify that we're doing a review.
It's
Hooray.
I Got by Young the Giant, for those of you who don't know. Fantastic little ditty, and now it's gone.
No, it's back there.
Okay.
All right, so today on Button Mash, we are reviewing the Stanley Parable.
Well, really, you're reviewing, and I'm just going to pester you with occasional questions because I have not even seen a screenshot of this game. I don't know anything. So please, fill me in. At least give me the premise of this.
Okay,
maybe I have and I just forgot.
All right.
Terrible memory.
Clock me in here 5 minutes. That's all I'm going to need, and that's all I want to take up. Let's go.
All right.
So the Stanley Parable, a game by... Oh, crud, I don't even have it up. It's
okay. I didn't even have my stopwatch.
It's an indie game that started out as a Half-Life 2 mod.
Okay.
And the whole concept,
like everything,
they made an HD remake slash edition reboot kind of thing. They added more content to it, and it's now like $10 or $15 on Steam. You should totally get it. And I'm gonna review it as best as I can without spoiling why it's so amazing.
Okay.
So you play as Stanley, the titular character, and you are this like super generic office worker. You sit in office 374 all day, every day, and all you do is press buttons until the day ends. Then you go home and you sleep, and then you wake up and you do the next thing.
Wait,
so the game,
I might have played this. Is this just the web browser game? Wait, you said it's on Steam for money?
I
played a web browser game.
The
that was
HD
just like
remake,
this.
yeah, is for money. The web browser one might be for free.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, and then there's a second character, and his name is Narrator. And he's this charming British chap who, he starts out the game, and he says,
okay, this is a different game then.
No.
This game I played, no one talked, and I couldn't.
Okay.
I couldn't complete it. Continue.
Anyway, the whole point of the game is you're Stanley, and you're in your office when suddenly everyone disappears. Nobody's around, and the narrator is narrating your actions. He's like, Stanley walked out of his office and began to wonder where everyone was. And without spoiling too much, I'm going to tell you the game becomes about the choices you make or the choices you choose to follow. So the game,
Can I chime in real quick while you think? I just realized this song is not 5 minutes, so either your review's got to be 4 minutes or however long this song is, or is the song on a loop?
I don't know.
Okay. There'll be background music.
So, the game
off topic.
The game looks pretty for the HD remake. They really added a lot of sort of special flair to the game. It looks more like a real inhabited
looks
place.
Prettier.
Yeah, and there's more content added. It has multiple endings. The game has multiple endings, and
so what makes it so good? What do you do in this game that you don't do in others? That is. So
okay, so in a typical game, you follow your objective. Go to point B to finish action X, and the story moves along.
And perform this task while you're getting there. Okay.
And I'll spoil a little bit of the game just to give you a solid deal and make it like, Joe, why are you talking about this game still? Shut up. So the first interesting moment of the game, the narrator's constantly narrating your actions. Stanley walked out of his office, blah 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 blah. And then you come to an empty room with two doors, one on the left, one on the right. And the narrator says, Stanley proceeded to walk through the door on the left. Now, what do you think happens after that?
Wait, you might have told me this game, or...
I don't think I did.
Or I might have read about it. Okay, because
so
you can choose. You can choose to
The game
go
spirals
against him.
from there. You can choose to do... Yeah, within
so
the
the narrator will say something. He'll say, you'll be given an option, and the narrator will say that you're going to do one, but you can choose to do the other one, correct?
And without spoiling it, I'll just say it's incredibly interesting to see where the game goes from, because the narrator ceases to be just this guy narrating your actions, and he becomes...
Does he talk to you?
Yes.
Directly to you?
Well, I don't want to spoil too much.
Okay, all right.
Because really, this is a game that you can finish in maybe 50 minutes.
Oh, okay. See, that's good. See, I don't like it when people... This is getting a little off topic, but when it comes to game length, I feel like that helps a lot. If it's shortened, it's easier to digest, to get it... to more people will complete
So
it.
that's my 5 minutes for the review.
Okay.
Anyway.
That was actually pretty close to 5,
Was
I
it?
think. I don't know. I'm looking on a clock that doesn't have seconds on it, so it's kind of hard to judge.
Whatever.
Hey, whatevs.
All right, I think that's a show, Lucas. Why don't you tell them?
A show.
Why don't you tell?
It's a show. It's a great show.
Let me give a rating for this game. Stanley Parable.
Yes, please, a number.
I have not
never
laughed
accept.
at a game this hard since Portal 2.
Oh, it's funny? Oh, you make
very
it sound
funny.
like it's serious.
Oh, but it's.
I thought these choices were going to get pretty drastic, like Stanley pulls the trigger on the gun.
Well, drastic things happened in
what's the
Portal
guy's-
2, but it was still incredibly funny. He's just the narrator in Stanley, yeah.
It's Stanley. Okay.
So
I wasn't
Lucas,
sure if I got the right name or not.
Tell them where they can find us.
You can find us on Facebook and on Twitter, BSU Button Mash. Be sure to like us, follow us, chime in, send us messages, and write on our wall and whatnot. Any questions you got, we'll answer them on the show. We occasionally put up news that we can't get to covering in the show because, once again, we only have an hour a week. And you can also listen to us on our YouTube channel if you're not available to listen to us at our weekly time at 8 o'clock on Fridays.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. I'm Lucas Schmidt, as always.
And I'm Joseph Knoop. And this has been Button Mash.
Maybe we should have said it at the same time. We'll
One.
get it right sometime.
I looked
Take
at
it easy,
you.
folks.
Bye.
But someday, baby, you ain't worry my life anymore.